Hey, y'all. It's Monday. Welcome to Cross Politics on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Pastor Toby Chuck Knox on the Water Boy. And we got Missionary Ben in the studio with us from the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Also, China Compass.
China Compass on the Fight Laugh Feast Network.
Yes.
How's your podcast doing?
I'm having fun. I went to 2 episodes per week a month or 2 ago. I'm doing one every week about China, current events, persecution, different things about China, and then one every week sharing about how to pray for the persecuted church.
Okay.
And so a shorter one every midweek.
Okay.
Brilliant.
All right. That's
Very
great.
good.
Well,
I was just pass it up in Spokane. They love listening to
I'm glad you're
The midweek one I call the prison pulpit. So the idea is to give voice to those who are in prison. So I quote a lot from Pastor Wang Yi and Richard Wurmbrand, the late Richard Wurmbrand, and share a lot of his stories and anecdotes from prison just to encourage people to think about and pray for the persecuted church.
So the demand's just going up for that, huh?
Thanks for doing that.
Yeah.
Really appreciate you doing that. Patriot Mobile's now offering the Up phone. Is that how you pronounce it? Or is it the UP phone?
Up phone, I believe. Up phone.
I
would say up.
Let's go with up. A cutting-edge addition to their product lineup, the Up phone is a privacy-first, secure smartphone designed by cybersecurity professionals for everyday use. It's powered by Liberty OS, the Libert OS. Well, not Liberty. I don't know. An exclusive operating system built on the Android open source project. This provides a familiar user experience similar to Android phones, but sets itself apart by being free from Google Mobile Services, GMS, and the surveillance that comes with it. This revolutionary device is perfect for customers seeking a system that avoids big tech components that track, monitor, and monetize their data. The Up phone offers robust protection from spying and intrusion while maintaining the intuitive user experience that users expect. Head to patriotmobile.com/crosspolitic and use the code, not the COD, as it says there, crosspolitic, to get started. Use the code crosspolitic. What's that?
Use the cod.
Yeah, use the cod.
Yeah, use the cod.
Use the cod.
Yeah.
But probably it means code. patriotmobile.com/crosspolitic.
Is that it?
Oh, wait.
Is that all you got to do? I don't know.
No. I don't know. I'm going to read that one later.
Okay. That's good. Yeah. Join the pub. Join the pub later.
You can join the pub now.
I like how Gay Joe put like words in your mouth.
All right, so
I want you to read this now.
At the end of this past week, Elon Musk was on Brett Baer.
Yeah.
It was on what?
Brett Baer.
Oh, okay. You knew what he said, huh? Okay, good.
BAIR, right? Or something like that?
Okay.
Bear? Okay.
Not even
Laura
close.
Ingraham.
And Billy Graham.
There's a couple actually things. Some of this we kind of already knew on some of this interview, but it's kind of stated in the context. So what Brett actually did was he got a bunch of billionaires in the room with Elon.
Okay.
That are all kind of helping in different ways to make the government more efficient, including the CEO of Airbnb now, or one of the founders, or maybe co-CEO, I think, or one of the co-founder, whatever. One of the big guys from Airbnb, and if you guys know, Airbnb is kind of woke. Mm-hmm. But what's interesting is he's on the same stage with Elon, helping Elon with some DOGE stuff.
Besides Elon, you're one of several billionaires here, co-founder of Airbnb, and you wanted to help out.
I bumped into Anthony and Elon probably back in February, and they told me something about a mine that was dealt with retirement, and they said they needed somebody to help out to fix retirement in the government. I love the challenge, so I jumped on board, and it turns out there is actually a mine in Pennsylvania that houses every paper document for the retirement process in the government. Now picture this. This giant cave has 22,000 filing cabinets, stacked 10 high to house 400 million pieces of paper. It's a process that started in the 1950s and largely hasn't changed in the last 70 years. And so as we dug into it, we found retirement cases that had so much paper, they had to fit it on a shipping pallet. So the process takes many months, and we're going to make it just many days.
Will it be digitized, or how?
Absolutely. So this will be an online digital process that will take just a few days at most. And I really think, it's an injustice to civil servants who are subjected to these processes that are older than the age of half the people watching your show tonight.
Right.
So we really believe that the government can have an Apple Store-like experience, beautifully designed. Great.
He's over-promising right there.
Apple Store experience.
Don't over-promise and under-deliver, buddy.
I don't know. I mean, yeah, but it doesn't take a whole lot to improve that.
No.
I mean, a mine, a cave,
yeah,
with I mean, that's like how my garage is organized. Like that's not.
Yeah.
Well, I was doing the math. You're going back to 1955.
Yeah.
And that's the kind of tech that you're dealing with. And now what's interesting is like Elon was talking about this. The reason they found this is not because they were looking for it.
No.
They weren't looking for this.
Yeah.
I don't know if we've talked about this before, but what happened was they were saying, okay, we know we need to make cuts. They want to cut $1 trillion of debt is what they're looking to do.
Yeah.
And so they said, hey, a lot of people who aren't on board, there was 40% of the current government that said they would completely push against Trump, what he was going to do. I think, Rod Martin talked about that last time.
Yeah.
And so what they said was, well, people who aren't on board and don't want it, why don't we just give them early retirement? But the problem was it would be too many people who would probably want to retire. They said we couldn't do it that fast. And Elon's asking all the right questions. Well, why can't we do it that fast? It's always the why. Well, because it takes us forever to try and retire someone, and we can only retire 9,000 a year.
Right. He's like, why?
And why can't we only retire? Like why is nobody else asking the question, why can't we do this? Right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, they haven't been asking that question, at least about this, for at least 70 years. 1955.
Yeah.
Well, there was,
That's my mama age.
right. Well, he's also the same guy who's been asking questions like, why can't we reuse rockets?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's
but
right.
why can't we?
That's exactly
But we've
right.
been living in a world and an age where all of the so-called experts said, "Oh, you just can't do that.
Mm-hmm.
No, that's impossible." Like, I mean, Rod Martin said that they've been laughing at Elon
Right.
and SpaceX for saying, "Why can't we just make reusable rockets?"
But
it's like this is the entrepreneurial spirit.
yeah.
This is the entrepreneurial spirit.
How can we make this better?
Why can't we improve this?
Yeah.
Why can't we do this better? This takes a long time. This is inefficient. This
Yes.
is like, isn't there a better way to do this? And the people that say no, I mean, that's again, it's ironic that so many of them are called progressives.
But I also think it's kind of a good representative of a good form of government, the mine. So in one sense, listen, hear me out here.
absolutely,
Hear me out.
absolutely.
In one sense, the government's job is not to change because they're standing on justice. Because it's supposed to execute justice. Justice should be true in all times, right? Standing on the word of God.
Right.
And that the mine kind of represents that a little bit. But the problem is the government is involved in all sorts of things that it should have nothing to do with.
Right.
And you should be growing and getting better and getting more, innovative in all these other places. Education.
right. Without the government's
Without
involvement.
the government's involvement, right?
Right.
So the mine, in one sense, kind of represents.
Right. Yeah. What do you? Yeah. That's a good
I'm
point.
struggling with this.
It's a good point, Gabe, because you're right. It's like if all we're doing is justice,
Yeah.
then
You don't change.
Then efficiencies are not quite as necessary. I mean, I guess military efficiency. We want to get better in terms of being able to defend our country. There will be certain places where it works, but there's also certain places where if all we're doing is justice, if all we're doing is executing justice, then just having good records is all you kind of got to do.
Yeah. Right.
But it controls so much of what we do.
Right.
So then you kind of want your government to be efficient. It's kind of telling on them in one sense. So I struggle with this because I want my government to be efficient at what it does. And I want them to be in step with their people.
Right.
I don't want them to use the things that they have against their people. So having your government being as usable as Apple makes you a little concerned.
Right. To the extent they're outside their bounds, I want them to be inefficient.
Right. And so exactly.
I want them to be really bad at being outside their bounds.
Right,
And I want them to
exactly.
be very good by being inside their bounds.
At the same time, I don't see a bunch of billionaires here, although I really do understand people's fear about having billionaires because we've had mercantilism. We have a lot of influence of controlling the market based on certain people's interests. I mean, what is it?
What backroom deals are they trying to do as
The
billionaires?
Pelosi counter is a thing.
Yep,
All right.
that's
So,
right. That's right.
What's that?
The Pelosi counter where you just watch what she does with her stocks and you just go ahead and
follow her.
Yeah, her ticker is a Pelosi ticker.
Yeah.
Is that what it's called or something like that?
Same with eye patch Dan.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
He's probably getting all his insights from her.
man.
And so there's this point where you don't trust these people, so you kind of want them to function in an inefficient way.
Right.
But so with the billionaires in there, I don't see it as just billionaires. I see it as a free market coming to help the government update itself.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's a good thing. And there's a symbiotic relationship that works here. But if we don't have who's responsible for what laid out really clearly, we're going to start bumping into each other in really bad ways. So are you ready for it in one sense, right?
So, I mean, I'll just spell it out. I mean, we talk about this quite a bit on the show, but I think it's just worth underlining. The Bible clearly teaches that the civil magistrate's job is to punish evildoers. Like that's just like number one top priority. The magistrate doesn't know what is good and evil, and it's to punish evildoers. And by punishing evildoers, it protects the righteous and the innocent. And you can praise the righteous. Go righteousness.
Right.
Go God's people. Go entrepreneur. Like you can cheer it on, but the main job is to protect those people, protect their property, protect their basic human rights, protect
their land,
their land, the nation, and so that would include invasions of illegal immigrants. That would include invading armies. That would include all those kind of things. But but it does not include healthcare. It does not include education. It does not include the arts. It does not. I mean, there's all kinds of things where when you put that into the sphere of government, you're asking them to harm people. You're asking them to harm your way of life, which is what we've been doing for the last 70 years.
I was going to ask you about this with Social Security. We were talking about Bonson about, okay, we know what the objective and the standard is. We want to get there, where people can actually take care of their parents with the money that they have and make decisions for themselves without the government getting all the money and taking care of our old folks, right? We have a system that's broken right now.
Right.
And so you have this moment where it's like, what do you do? Because that's what I'm going to ask. You have Social Security, and you have people that you've promised things to with this. How do you start then to engage a system where you start removing that responsibility from them because everybody is mad about what's going on because they think they're going to lose the money that's been promised them.
Right. I think two things. Number one is I would say yes. So to those people that we have promised to provide for, the government is on the hook. And I think the government should keep its promises
we're on the hook.
To our parents. Yes.
So,
But I think at least one initial step would be allow for anybody that wants to opt out to opt out.
Yeah, just on your own.
Yeah, if you want to stay in the system, stay in the system.
Right.
You've already been hooked up, and you've got promises from the government. And I think we got to keep those promises. But I think those who want to opt out ought to have the freedoms. Right now, it's illegal to, unless
you're a pastor.
You're a pastor.
Yeah.
And I think there's one other conscientious objection of some sort in the law that people can get off. I opted out of Social Security. Yeah. I'm not hooked up to it. Because they allow ministers to.
I just need to go get ordained somewhere online.
Yeah, it's true. You can do that. But I think I would offer that to anybody. Anybody who says I don't want the government to take care of my retirement should be able to opt out.
I think there's another clip of Elon actually talking about how Social Security, putting your money in Social Security is screwing yourself.
Yeah.
It's the ROI in the long run. It's the money that returns.
It's just, it's really, really inefficient.
Yeah.
It's really dumb.
Yeah.
So I'm glad, I'm thankful for people like this who understand the free market. And they're like, that's the stupidest thing. That's a really lame way to plan for your retirement. But I would start there. I would love for there to be a law passed that said the government is obligated to continue to keep its promises to those who have signed up. We need to keep those promises. These are our parents. These are our grandparents. Even though that was bad, that was dumb. We shouldn't have done it. But those who want to opt out now are free to.
But I think there's an element to this, though, where everyone's kind of responsible for it because they all kind of wanted the system in one way or another. And I would be open for. I agree with you. There's a certain amount of promise or a certain amount of promise that they should keep. Well, but it seems like they should also, for me to opt out, it's going to start hurting the system. Let's say a bunch of people opted out. Right. It's going to start making it harder.
Yeah, because we can't pay. Yeah.
But what I would do then is, but then the next step, which that'd be step one.
Okay.
Everybody that's in it and is still in it is paying for it, and there's probably you need to subsidize it probably from the government because it's already going to be running out. It's like it's a Ponzi scheme already.
Right.
You're paying other people's things with the people that are coming in, and there's not enough people coming in to fill out the people that are.
Well, Congress has also been looting the Social Security bucket.
Right.
Outside of
that's true.
The purposes of Social Security.
But my point is if we are running out of money, then you're going to probably have to subsidize it with other things. And I would say, yes, we got to do that. Yeah. But then the next step would be Congress saying, we're going to sunset this program, year 2060 or something, whatever. You put it out a few years and then it's like you start people that are being born now or whatever, you're not going to be on Social Security.
Definitely not.
Yep. And so then we let people that have already planned on it, who've banked on it, okay, you've got that. But we have to start weaning the country off of it.
It just makes you think about bad ideas have long-term consequences even to get out of. Yeah. Right. That's a whole generation that has to die off before you can.
Yeah. Right.
I'm curious, Ben, what's the paper? Is there a paper mine in China that's holding all the records?
Hey, you read my mind. All I can think about is I wonder how much China's laughing at us when they see this kind of clip because they did this for real probably 70 years ago. They were in that era, but they've actually modernized over time. The Communist Party's modernized.
No,
so they've actually done the work to stay on track.
They're
and to
already
do things.
digitized.
Yeah, I'm sure they are. And so they're looking at us like, what in the world? They probably knew about it before we did. They probably knew that we had a mine before Musk did.
They probably have surveillance cameras in our mine.
Yeah, they know it's there.
They know it's there.
But there's just no way they're still doing anything like that. Now, in local districts, they would be still reliant somewhat on paper and different things like that. But in the central government, no way. They're definitely modernizing and using it to control their people, not in a good way necessarily, but.
Why would that kind of is weird to me, because you kind of think of communism as like being archaic, unable to do basic things. Which probably still is, but how could they be modernizing in this way when you also know communism kind of is a prohibitor in another way?
Well, Chinese communism isn't true communism anymore. They decided many years ago that we have to have communism with Chinese characteristics, they called it. And so basically communism where it works and capitalism and other things where it doesn't. And they just kind of mix and match whatever they think works.
So their system is
very
like
pragmatic.
ours for the most part.
Yeah, really pragmatic. You don't have true communism as business. Now there's a heavy China's involved in all of their businesses, and they have a higher percentage of government involvement in business and different things than like a free market economy would. But generally, it's the same thing. Everything functions more or less the same. There's one party only. That's the Communist Party. So it's still communist in that sense. It's communist in ideology, but not really in practice as far as economy and different things.
So what's a free market? So free market, you said there's free market in areas where it works.
Well, you can go start a business. If you're Chinese, you can go anywhere in the country and start a shop, open a business, go sell things on the street. You can do whatever. That started in the 80s. Before then, you couldn't. People would tell me stories in China. I had old people, I'd ask them, and they said, yeah, we used to like barter and sell and like go underground to like buy an apple from our neighbor, like to get an apple off the tree. I mean, all that was illegal. Like buying and selling anything was illegal back in the 60s and 70s. Yeah. But that changed in the 80s, and they opened things up, and China went crazy with capitalism, and that led to Tiananmen Square, those things where China was opening up and they thought it would continue to open, and then they're like, wait, we want the capitalism, but we don't want ideology to change. We want that to stay the same. So they pushed back starting in the late 80s.
So
and 90s.
in the 70s, then what would it look like to open a business? Would you have to go to the government?
So you didn't.
I mean, you didn't. The government businesses would have been something all tied in with the government in some way.
Runs it all.
Yeah,
and it's still kind of close to that, because basically the government said you can start a business, but it belongs to us.
Now you can open the business, but the government could step in at any point
and do whatever,
and do what they want with you.
Yeah, I mean, there's still unpracticed. You go around China, it's so capitalist. There's people selling anything you can imagine everywhere, from street vendors to huge businesses. One of the things we saw over and over that was so fascinating in China is you'd see new restaurants open, and people had all this money to invest in a new idea, a new restaurant. They'd spend all the money to fix it up and get it going, and it might last a year, and then they'd close down because business went down. They're going to open a new thing. So it's just all this like extreme capitalistic type tendency to do stuff, and you see it over and over and over again. And that was people with their own money that they'd borrow from friends and family, save, make whatever, and the government really had nothing to do with other than just the permits, the local permits to get for food and drink or whatever.
This is Missionary Ben. Missionary Ben runs China Compass.
China Compass podcast, and Pray for China is the ministry
on the Fight Laugh Feast Network. Grateful to have you on the show today.
And so I'm curious, how do they tax over there their businesses?
I'm not sure. A lot of people evade taxes over there, just like anywhere. They really do. No, because in China it's super common over there. If you go to buy something at a store, buy an appliance, let's say, and you go to the market and you're bartering, trying to get a good price for a new refrigerator, they'll say at the end of the day, well, do you want a receipt or not? And so do you want to do this under the table, off record or not?
Oh, that's what that means.
So they basically, you'll save money, but that money you save is the taxes they would have paid,
right?
And they don't pass that on to you. So that happens all the time in China. So they pay enough taxes to make the government not be super suspicious, but they don't pay all. They're always skimming off the top and not paying.
I mean, it don't have to be skimming.
I wouldn't call that skimming.
Well, not skimming, whatever.
Yeah.
That's called threshing your wheat in the wine press.
That's
Exactly.
what it's called.
Hiding it from the Midianites. If you haven't liked and shared the show yet, would you please like and share the show? And is there another clip?
Oh yeah, I got numbers. I got
what was the next one?
I was going to it. I was
just waiting around, just drinking water.
You wanted people to like and share the show.
Yeah, like and share the show.
I didn't want to interrupt you when you're talking about
another
liking
clip?
and sharing. Have you liked and shared the show yet? Okay.
Going back real quick, you guys know I started a business in China like 16 years ago, 17 years ago.
So
Is it still going?
No.
So you started giving receipts. Then is what happened.
I actually, you know what? Now that I think about it, I better not talk about this. No. But no, we started a cafe, an actual restaurant. Yeah. I'm not a cook by any means, but we had a guy that could cook, and we started a Snowy Mountain Cafe in this Tibetan mountain town in Western China. Yeah. And we served burgers and pizzas and stuff to tourists. Yak burgers.
Yeah.
Yak burgers and homemade pizzas. Yeah, man. Yak burgers. Beef.
What the yak?
Beef. Yeah.
Are they good?
Wow.
Were they good?
They're good.
Like American
Is it like a
cheeseburger?
game?
It's like eating bison burger, something like that. It's
Yeah.
real lean
bison-
meat.
bison's good.
Real lean meat.
Okay.
So we did that, but I had to do all the running around to get all the paperwork, and there is a lot of red tape still in China. The business is possible, and if you're not Chinese and you're trying to do it, oh my goodness,
makes it even harder.
I got everything up and running legally, But the first year I had to renew all the things to keep things legal.
Yeah.
I never could renew all the different things they needed. So we were technically illegal for the coming years after that because I never could get everything signed off on them.
So here's Elon Musk going on. It's amazing all the different examples of fraud and waste in our government. And it's still amazing to me all the leftist pushback.
Right.
And even though example after example sounds so ludicrous, but it's real. So here's Elon talking more about it. Some examples here.
For you, what's the most astonishing thing you've found out in this process?
The sheer amount of waste and fraud in the government. It is astonishing.
Waste and fraud.
It's mind-blowing. We routinely encounter wastes of $1 billion or more. Casually.
Routinely.
Casually.
Like the simple survey that was literally a 10-question survey that you could do with SurveyMonkey, cost you about $10,000, the government was being charged almost $1 billion for that.
For just the survey?
$1 billion for a simple online survey, do you like the national park? And then there appeared to be no feedback loop for what would be done with that survey. So the survey would just go into nothing. It was like insane.
Oh my goodness. People are filling out surveys.
And there's no feedback loop. There's no
it's not going
action
anywhere.
item afterwards.
Yeah, it's not like going somewhere for a report or something like that.
Yep.
And we're just dumping $1 billion into
He
this.
said 10,000 is what you could do it on the free market. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. If somebody was paying attention, somebody cared.
I think because you got to go get your
Survey Monkey's like back there, like just laughing his head off. Like, this is great. We're making $1 billion.
We'll take it. But I think I filled out that survey because I got a UTV and you got to go get some off-road stuff and everything. But I think I filled out the National Forest Survey.
That's funny.
Did you? I mean, I'm asking you on the show, but did you grab the clip from Jon Stewart that's starting to circulate? Have you seen that one yet?
No, I haven't.
Okay, so I'm not gonna.
Can the team bring it up?
Yeah, I wonder if they can find that clip from Jon Stewart.
you send it to
It's a
him?
long
Did you
clip,
send
but
it
it's
to him?
worth every minute. I'll send it to him. Matter of fact, go ahead. You keep playing. I'll go find that Jon
keep
Stewart.
going. Go to the next clip. I can't remember what it is, but it should be Elon.
Really good.
Yeah, it's amazing.
There obviously are DOGE critics who are reading all kinds of stuff. Obviously, lawmakers on the other side of the aisle are attacking you.
That's right.
They characterize the approach as this: fire, ready, and then aim. And how do you approach that? How do you respond to that?
Well, I do agree that we actually want to be careful in the cuts. So we want to measure twice, if not thrice, and cut once. Actually, that is our approach. They may characterize it as shooting from the hip, but it is anything but that. Which is not to say that we don't make mistakes. If we were to approach this with the standard of making no mistakes at all, that would be like saying someone in baseball's got to bat 1,000. That's impossible. So when we do make mistakes, we correct them quickly, and we move on.
Just think about that. I mean, like, so the accusation is ready, fire, aim.
Yeah.
And he's even acknowledging, yeah, I mean, have we gotten everything exactly right? No.
Yeah.
But like, to require perfection, like, you can only cut something if you're going to be perfect every single time. It's just insane.
Yeah.
It's absolutely insane.
Well, and again, I mean, like, our government is so bloated and so big. They built it themselves. That we the people have been a part of this bloat in creating it. And we actually finally have someone who's going to honestly go and try to help and kind of clean it up and try to get rid of some
we need
bad invoices apparently on the books. Yeah.
We need to be super patient. I've been watching DOGE, and everybody's got advice on how they need to be operating, but you got to think about what he said earlier. This has been a 70 years, at least 70 years. Oh, they found the clip. They're bringing it in. I know that sound.
That's a good sound.
That's like the new sound for the show. Like, we got it.
Stand by.
But you think about it, it's like 70 years tech that hasn't been used. How else has the government been functioning? Okay, so whatever it's been, we've been efficient for a long time, which means that it's transcended administration.
Yeah.
It's just a way of thought, period. Not just about the American government, probably the American people.
Yeah.
How have we been thinking that nobody has been asking the why questions? And so when you come in, we're moving super fast. Mm-hmm. I don't think people understand how fast DOGE is moving. They're fixing problems that we haven't thought about in 70 years.
Right.
Give them a second. Yeah, they're going to make some mistakes. Okay, here comes this clip. Now, just to set this up, Jon Stewart, I can't remember who he's talking to, but they're starting to explain how you get approved for certain forms of financing with Build Back Better. Now, this is a longer clip.
Build Back Better.
This is underneath Biden's administration. Yeah. So if you wanted to start building back better to get approval for it, this is what you had to go through.
Okay. You have to issue the notice of funding opportunity within 180 days. That's step one. Step 2, which all 56 state applicants completed, is states who want to participate must submit a letter of intent. After they do that, they can submit a request for up to $5 million in planning grants.
Okay.
Then the NTIA, step 4.
Pause. Did you just hear that?
You get money to build the plans. Before you do
$5
the
million for a planning grant.
Yes.
We're not doing anything.
Yeah, we're just planning.
We're just planning. And so for your planning, we need to be planning. I can plan some things.
Can we get one of those?
You know, if you got a couple
Crossballs to get
ideas,
a planning grant?
it's a planning grant. $5 million for a planning grant.
We want to build back better.
To do what? What business plan do you have that you can walk into a bank and say, I just need $5 million for the
planning.
For the planning of it.
What are you going to do? Well, I don't know. I haven't planned yet.
This is insane.
That's what part of the money's for.
That's what I need.
So I'm going to figure out what I'm going to plan.
What am I going to do? So then if you get a planning grant for $5 million, what incentives do you have to actually get anything done?
Not much.
There is no return. There's no feedback loop to what you've created actually being good. It's not free market at all. Okay, keep going.
Has to review and approve and award, again, planning grants, not broadband grants, planning grants.
And it's still at the NTIA. It's still at the first step.
All right, so the NTIA must issue a NOFO within 180 days. States who want to participate must submit their letter of intent. Step 3, they can request up to $5 million in planning grants.
Just planning.
Just planning. Step 4, the requests are reviewed, approved, and awarded by the NTIA, which currently all 56, 3 years later, all 56 applicants had passed through at least step 5. It took more than 3 years. So it's a long time.
There's only
States must
56
submit a
applicants?
5-year
Hit pause real quick because I think
56 applicants?
Yes. Yes. And by the way, the number gets lower as we continue to get through this process. Right. Because,
They aren't doing it. They aren't completing it.
But remember the
Then you have to do 50 push-ups.
Right.
And then you got to do 500 jumping jacks.
And don't forget, I think the context, I wanted to watch the whole thing, but forgive me if I'm wrong, but I believe the context was around getting internet, getting broadband. Remember the whole push from, this was way back with Obama with making sure we get broadband to the inner city communities and everybody else, right? So we're just talking about getting internet at this point. All right,
so the $5 million planning grant would go towards how do you map out getting broadband in and around your city?
Because we've never had an infrastructure with anything else before in this world. Ask Elon to send one of his satellites up here around this area real quick. It's probably cheaper to do that. Okay, keep going.
Plans. The states kind of go back and they kind of think about how they're going to do this. And they don't just say, okay, thank you for the money. We're going to spend it. And you can see how it worked out later. We're like, here's our 5-year action plan. Then the FCC must publish the broadband data maps before NTIA allocates funds. So having done the NOFO, the letters of intent, the request for planning grants, then the review, approval, and awarding of the planning grants, then the 5-year action plans. In between that, the federal government has to put forward a map saying where it thinks we need rural broadband subsidies. And then, of course, the states need an opportunity to challenge the map for accuracy. And you can imagine this doesn't all happen in like a day.
So listen to this. Pause it real quick. Listen to this. It's basically about a 10-year process to get to the fact to where the government might say, okay, because you got to do the planning grant side of things, and then you got to go into this 5-year.
When you got $5 million, I mean, that's all right.
Yeah. If I know I got $5 million in 3 years, it's like, okay, I'm good. Right?
Yeah, but it's a 10-year process.
But I like John Stewart's look.
I
like John Stewart's look, though. That's how I feel, too.
Keep going. This is interesting.
The NTIA, step 7, has to use the FCC maps.
Only step 7.
Allocation decisions. Then, having already done their letter of intent, their request for planning grants, it's hard even to talk about this, man. Step 7 is NTIA must use the FCC maps that were already challenged for allocation decisions. Then, having submitted all this, I think this one is actually quite amazing. Yeah. Having submitted their 5-year plans or letters of intent, step 8 is states must submit an initial proposal. An initial proposal.
Back to another proposal.
Then,
is that the result of their $5 million planning fund? This initial proposal?
But then what was the 5-year plan?
And what the fuck did they apply for? What was their NOFO?
Like, if the 5-year action plan isn't the initial proposal, then what's the 5-year action
plan? Forget NOFO.
Okay.
MOFO.
Step 9, NTIA must review and approve each state's, again, initial proposal by my read, we have had at least 2 initial proposals here, but that's a different issue.
Oh my God.
Step 10, states must publish their own map and allow internal challenges to their own map. So the government has published a map. They have invited the states to challenge the map. Then states have submitted initial proposals, and they then have to publish their own map and allow challenges.
Wait, who's challenging
Another
it
map.
within the state?
Well, organized interest groups, environmental group, like I don't know
my
who
God.
specifically, but literally anybody. This is,
Right.
I want to say something because it's very important I say this. This is the Biden administration's process for its own bill. They wanted this to happen. This is how liberal government works now.
This is something they instituted for this bill.
For
Okay,
their bill.
hit pause real quick. This is why we don't have to fear. Praise God that when the wicked try to do something, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
Like they are trying to, and their own setup is destroying them from ever being able to do it, and they never accomplish anything.
This is like Babel.
So exactly.
This is like Babel. Like we're going to rule the world, but we can't communicate.
I almost want to finish this on purpose because there's a point here. Keep going.
Okay.
This is a bill passed by Democrats with a regulatory structure written by Democratic administration.
Yes, thank you, Jesus.
Step 11. The NTIA must review
John's
and
like,
approve
that's my people.
the challenge results and the final map. So the NTIA has put forward a map. The states have challenged that map. Then the states have put forward their maps, had other challenges. And now the NTIA must review and approve the challenges to the state maps. Okay. So we've done step 11, NTIA must review and approve challenge results and final map. We've lost 9 of the applicants at that point. Step 12, states must run a competitive sub-granting process.
Oh my God.
Whoa. We'll have to do
At step 12,
Hit the beat
after
button.
all this has been done.
Yeah, none of that could have happened along the way here. We have now lost 17 more applicants. So now 30 of 56 have completed step 12. Step 13, states must submit a final proposal. That's all the proposals weren't enough to NTIA. Now that goes to 3 of 56. So we've gone in the last couple steps from 56 had gone to this point to 3 of 56. Step 14.
Shoot yourself in the foot.
NTIA must review and approve the state's final proposal.
Okay.
And that is 3 of the 56 jurisdictions and states are there.
There we
In
go.
summary,
You're done. You're done.
So I guess 56 must have been like Puerto Rico and like some other territories within the United States.
No.
these are entities.
There's multiple regions within states. It's not just states.
Okay.
So it could have been
Because he kept
cities.
referring to the state as like
Yeah,
the one.
because wherever you are, you've got to appeal to your state. So like New York and Buffalo, you could have multiple different places that need broadband.
These could be county level. Or
County level, city level.
Okay.
So just think about this for a second. Why? Because let's go back to the Elon Musk thing. Why do you have to do that? Why do we have to go through all this? And you know why? Because
human beings are lousy gods.
that's exactly right. And when you don't have people of character,
They're
everybody's got to figure out how to get something done and figure out how to do it so that we don't screw it up.
Yeah.
And this is what I was thinking about. When you have a person of character, you can come to me and you can say, what do you want to do?
Right.
I want to do this.
Yeah.
Here goes the money. Go get it done.
That's right.
And then it gets done.
Or in a truly free economy, someone
just goes and does it.
does it like Elon Musk. He's like, you know what? I'm just gonna build my own spaceship.
Yeah, exactly.
And-
Exactly.
And you don't have to have all the regulations. You don't have to all the permits. You don't have to go. You just do good things.
That's right.
That's called freedom.
But how much do we do the same thing with stuff because we don't have people of character that we could trust?
Stop talking about Presbyterians like
Okay,
that.
all right.
I just did Presbyterian this week.
Yeah, it's the
But
same
no, but
thing.
seriously,
We build the infrastructure around protecting things so that because we can't trust anybody.
Let's form a committee.
Yes.
Yeah.
On the committee.
Study
To
the
submit
committee.
a plan.
An initial proposal. And when we prove the initial approval, then you can make a plan.
and then we'll have somebody check it and see if it's a good plan.
Yeah, because we'll form a new committee.
And we're going to pay you $5 million to do all of this.
Yeah, but enough about the ERLC.
Come on.
But all of us are complicit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
We have this kind of government. They're talking about Democrats. We're all Democrats.
Yeah.
This is
We're all-
us.
I mean,
This is us.
Yes, because we do not trust God and we do not trust God's word, and we're not people of integrity. And there's in a fallen world, there's always a place for accountability. There's always a place for multiple counselors. Wisdom is found in a multitude of counselors. This is why churches are to be led by a plurality of elders. There are checks and balances, but what happens is when you are going humanistic because you're putting your trust in man, man can't be trusted. And so you've got to have accountability on top of accountability. And it's just corruption, and it's waste, and it's bureaucracy.
Yeah.
And everything's run by the DMV. I mean, like, your church is run by the DMV. Yep. Your outreach is run by the DMV. Your missions organization is run by the DMV functionally, right? And it's like it's like you're running a ministry in a mine with papers stacked to the ceiling.
Right.
Like
that's right. I was thinking, I saw a Canadian talking about their healthcare this last week. I forget what, I was probably on Twitter or something. And they were just going on about how awful the Canadian medical system
how long
is.
it takes,
all that stuff. And of course, we've known about that here in the U.S. That we have a bunch of Canadians who come down here to participate in our healthcare, get surgery, whatever. Here in the United States, our friend down in Oklahoma, the surgery center down in Oklahoma gets a lot of Canadians.
Veritas,
yeah, and I'm sure Veritas here is probably starting that to get a lot of that too.
They're doing that.
But what's I guess kind of surprising to me about all this is, and this is here in America, it's like we don't talk about the insanity or we don't point it out. We just go and get our driver's license at DMV. Right. We just go. I mean, all the processes.
Right. Yeah. Would you please mug me again?
Yeah. We're just going through tax season right now.
I bought a new car. Would you like to mug me again? Yeah. Here's my paperwork.
Well, there's the reason why it takes 2 hours to buy a car at the dealership is because of government paperwork. Yeah.
So I was just thinking about this. If I'm waiting for the government to bring me broadband, good luck.
Yeah.
If I'm waiting for the government to do something, this is the same thing with Take Care. Do you think with the system that they have, it's already broken, 70 years of data that we haven't upgraded in 70 years. Do you think that they're going to get 3 years to get broadband at least? Would you say the problem 10 years by the time you
it sounded to me, at one point they said a 5-year, not just a 5-year plan, that'd be 5 years. And at one point they said it sounded like 5 years something. So it sounded like almost a 10-year plan.
Which back to your point about the mine. Like, I'm happy with this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The government's job. It's not their job to bring broadband.
That's right.
That's private enterprise.
Mm-hmm. That's where I was going.
Paul Vaughn in Tennessee, that's his business is broadband. He does some sort of internet business.
So I'm happy because this means Paul Vaughn wins.
Yeah. Right.
Exactly.
Because Biden's plan, Build Back Better, it's going to take 10 years.
Yeah.
To get initial approvals of your initial proposal.
Yeah, to not even start the work.
Yeah.
And I just keep thinking, what other things that are we doing that by the time they get done and get off the ground, the technology is going to have been changed radically.
Right.
And they're going to be so far behind.
That's right.
Right?
And the government's still going to pay to install it.
Yeah, right.
70 years. Like we just got it up and going. It's already outdated.
Right. And they're like, yeah, we don't use that anymore.
There are so many things that we need to be thinking about and that I don't think we understand. And Gabe, this goes to your point. We just go along with the process because we're not asking the why.
Yeah.
We don't have people of character who are doing things. It's like the character is so important here because when you give somebody $5 million, you want to know something's going to happen. But it doesn't even take that. But there's so many areas that we can be thinking about with people of character in our churches, in our Christian schools that can do things that they don't have to wait for any approval for and get stuff done.
I mean, imagine the old lady that's running the mine shaft.
Right.
Couldn't come up with a better idea over whatever. I mean, she's probably been there like 35 years, and she's probably filing her own retirement work, which probably takes about 5 years. But it's like all you had to do is like, hey, government, I think I have a better way of doing this now. But we got computers.
But that's the thing. That's the thing though is
job
again,
security.
Back to your point though is I don't. Government's not designed to do that. Government is not designed to be creative.
Yeah,
it's not supposed to be creative. That was back to your point again. Right. Their job is not to invent new stuff. Their job is to protect the people and the property and the resources of the people who are free to invent stuff.
That's right.
And be creative.
Right.
The government's
make
job
them
is not
free.
Yeah, make them free, set them free, protect their property, protect their lives, and that's it. So that we can be set. So that I don't have to worry about my security. I don't have to worry about my property. I'm set free to build and create and invent and discover.
Yeah.
But it's not their job.
And part of the way that they keep the free market down from doing those things is the regulations come in that limits them the ability and the time.
It's back to Ben's talking about. We're like China.
Yeah.
And you got all the fill out the form.
I was having PTSD for a minute because it reminded me of me running around in China.
You're like, that's like in China.
No, but then it dawned on me that China was easier than what he's having.
Are you serious?
Oh, it was easier.
Shut up.
I could run around.
To bring broadband?
To do business. To register a business or something.
Business.
Not even a citizen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Right. I mean, it was. I could with For that work, oh man, that was bad. But China was actually easier than that.
Right.
That wasn't that bad.
That's so.
I want to bring this last video in because we gotta wrap up here.
Yeah.
But Trump talking about one of the reporters asked him, "What is a woman?" And first of all, I've seen we aren't going to get to this video, but JD Vance talking about military, talking about war fighting, and
It's actually really closely connected to this because there's an example of him actually cutting regulations.
yes,
Because the one thing that God has assigned the military to do
is the fight,
kill bad guys.
Yep.
Yeah.
Is the
You know,
fight.
fight bad guys.
And Pete Hegseth
Yeah.
and JD Vance
Right.
and even Trump,
Right.
they're like, we need to get the military back to what it's supposed to do.
Right.
Get all this stuff off. But my point, my broader point here is just it's great to see sanity to enter back into our politics.
Right.
And if the Republicans don't really establish their sanity in Christ, then they're going to go just like the Democrats did these last 4 years. Eventually, they're going to get there.
Sure.
The Democrats are bad. But anyways, here's a reporter in the White House asking Trump about what is a woman.
Joining as well. Since Democrats seem to struggle answering this question, I wanted to ask you, what is a woman and why is it important that we understand the difference between men and women?
Well, it's sort of easy to answer for me because a woman is somebody that can have a baby under certain circumstances. She has a quality. A woman is a person who's much smarter than a man, I've always found. A woman is a person that doesn't give a man even a chance of success. And a woman's a person that in many cases has been treated very badly because I think that what happens with this crazy issue of men being able to play in women's sports is just ridiculous and very unfair to women and very demeaning to women. And that's got to be about a 94%. I read today it was a 94% issue. And I watched the other day, a congressman, a Democrat congressman, fighting for the fact that men should be allowed to compete essentially in women's sports. And I say, I hope they keep that going because they'll never win another election. That's a big deal. But
So go ahead and be done with it. So the Democrats were like the insane Nebuchadnezzar.
Yeah.
And it feels like, Trump is the sane Nebuchadnezzar.
Oh boy.
Am I right? I want Trump to stand on Christ. I want Trump to, he's a professing Christian. I want him grounded in everything that he's saying in the Bible because that brings longevity to our governmental process instead of just
because we can work with that.
Yeah, we can work with that.
This is one of the most basic. So one of the other jobs of civil government, according to the Bible, is protecting equal weights and measures.
Right.
And one of the most fundamental equal weights and measures is defining male and female.
Mm-hmm.
Men and women, made in God's image. Like that's one of the most definitions.
And that's where I'd like Trump to start.
Right. So I'm like
having babies is a good place to start.
Yeah.
That's
absolutely
creational thing.
Yeah. I mean, we need to go further than this, but I'm just saying this actually is part of establishing and protecting basic biblical justice.
Yeah.
Like this is where all theonomy begins.
Yeah.
Like if we're gonna have biblical justice in our land, then it's gonna start with what is a human being?
Yeah. And how do you treat them?
What is a man? What is a woman? And it all flows from there because biblical justice is designed by God to protect those men and women. That's what it fundamentally does. And if you're not doing that, then men and women get crushed in the process, which is what we've seen happening in abortion and the transgender stuff and women in sports and all the rest of it.
And then you don't get a good economy. Like you have to have these definitions.
That's what I mean. It's human flourishing, which is what an economy is. It's the overflow of the fruitfulness and the productivity and the creativity of men and women.
Yeah, that's right.
But if you don't know what men and women are, you're already in the process of crushing them.
Yeah.
And now that's and then you get Democrat policies like the one that Jon Stewart is flipping out about because it's like that's what happens when you don't know what a woman is.
You voted for that, John.
When you don't know what a woman is, then you don't know what a man is. You don't know what you're for, and this all comes from actually humanism. The irony is you're worshiping man and you destroy man.
Absolutely.
But if you worship God, man is glorified.
Mm-hmm.
Right? If you worship the living God whose image we bear, then mankind is glorified. Women are glorified. Families are glorified. And economies flourish.
That's right.
You worship man. You serve man. You deform man. Man is crushed. Man is destroyed. And everything's run by the DMV.
And then you don't get any of the blessings from God in that.
I got to read an ad. Before,
Go ahead.
I'm going to do the music.
Go
with the music? Okay. And Ben, then I want you to tell us about your books before we go. Public houses or pubs are not just places to drink beer, wine, cider, or even something a little stronger. It's also a unique social center, very often the focus of community life in villages, towns, and cities throughout the length and breadth of the world. We here at Cross Politic hope to emulate that for you and yours. That's why you should grab yourself a pub membership at fightlaughfeast.com. Go to fightlaughfeast.com. Join the pub. That's how you support us. That's our club. And right now, until Easter, till right after Easter, we're doing a couple drawings. If you join right now, between now and Easter, you might be drawn for this 47 hat because in honor of him being Nebuchadnezzar, not Christ.
The good Nebuchadnezzar. The sane Nebuchadnezzar.
Okay. And then if you join now, and if you already joined and you're part of the pub, we're doing 2 drawings for these 2 hats. Maca and this sweet NSA old school baseball cap in honor of baseball season. So fightlaughfeast.com, join the pub, fightlaughfeast.com. Appreciate all of you that have already joined. Join now. Join before Easter. Be part of the drawing.
And Ben, you always bring
Ben,
books.
you brought a stack of books. Tell us about it real quick and how people can follow you.
Real quick, praygivego.us is the best website. You can get all the books and the podcast and Substack.
Praygivego.us
is the best website. This is my little story being deported from China. Unbeaten, yeah. I've shared the reason behind that before. The Memoirs of William Milne. This is the first missionary to Malaysia. He was a Bible translator. I'm going to talk about him a little bit tonight in the 5 minutes I've got there.
Great.
This one says Toby Sumter on the front. Forward by Toby Sumter.
Oh, what's up now?
The autobiography of John G. Payton. And this has got your message from last year as a forward in this autobiography.
Yep.
And then this is an awesome missionary biography, the millionaire missionary Borden of Yale, who served, he died on his way to the field. Millionaire missionary. It's really a fascinating story.
Send.
Pray, give, go.
Pray, give, go.
.us.
Oh, man. Praygivego.us.
It's got links to all the books and the Substack and the podcast and all those things.
Thanks for joining us, Ben.
Appreciate you, man. If you're single, get married. If you're married, have you some kids. And if you have kids, go baptize them. Until tomorrow, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, and strength. Love your neighbor as yourself. Go fight, laugh, and feast. This is Cross Politics.